league needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late?
What if the biggest story in the WNBA isn't happening during a game, but behind closed doors? Just when fans believed Caitlin Clark's rookie journey couldn't become any more dramatic, a wave of speculation and intense discussion has exploded across social media. Reports, interviews, and fan reactions have everyone asking the same question: what is Caitlin Clark's next move? Some believe she's preparing for a decision that could reshape not only her own career, but also the future of the WNBA. Others argue the league has reached a turning point, where every decision involving Clark carries enormous attention from fans, media, and sponsors alike. Whether those theories are true or not, one thing is undeniable: every move Clark makes is being watched more closely than almost any player in league history. At the same time, League Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White have found themselves at the center of intense public debate. Fans continue to analyze every interview, every press conference, and every statement, searching for clues about what comes next for one of basketball's biggest stars. But separating confirmed facts from online speculation has become increasingly difficult. So what exactly sparked this latest wave of controversy? Is Caitlin Clark really preparing a shocking career move, or has the internet once again turned rumors into headlines? And why has this story created such an emotional reaction among fans across the basketball world? In today's video, we're breaking down everything that's actually known, examining the biggest rumors, and exploring why this moment could have a lasting impact on both Caitlin Clark's career and the future of the WNBA. Stay with us until the end. You may be surprised by what the facts actually reveal. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark has grown far beyond basketball. Every game she plays, every interview she gives, and every decision involving her seems to generate headlines across the sports world. What was once the story of a remarkable college athlete making the jump to the professional level has become something much bigger. Clark has evolved into one of the most talked about athletes in American sports, attracting attention not only from basketball fans, but also from casual viewers who had never followed the WNBA before. That level of attention is both a blessing and a challenge.
The league has 26 of their 30 players already, and they have been announcing players for the past 3 months. And there has been speculation throughout the entire WNBA season if Caitlin Clark would be joining Unrivaled in the offseason. Caitlin Clark is needed for this league. It should be one of their main goals is to get her to play in the league no matter what that costs, no matter what that is going to take.
Over the past year, television ratings have climbed, arenas have sold out, merchandise sales have surged, and social media conversations have reached unprecedented levels. Much of that growth has been connected to Clark's arrival in the league. Whether someone supports her or criticizes her, very few people ignore her. Every highlight becomes a trending topic, every hard foul sparks debate, and every press conference is analyzed from every possible angle.
Who is one of the founders of Unrivaled, had this to say about Caitlin Clark. She said, "It's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000 a year. She should be one of the top paid players in the world just for the sheer numbers that she's bringing." And I'm glad that a WNBA player is finally saying this out loud, admitting to it, because it has been so clear for so many people the Caitlin Clark effect that she has had on the WNBA this.
Recently, however, a new question has begun circulating online. What exactly is Caitlin Clark planning next? That question has fueled countless discussions. Some fans believe she may simply be focused on continuing her development with the Indiana Fever. Others speculate that she could eventually pursue opportunities outside the WNBA during the off-season, including international basketball, endorsement projects, media appearances, or expanded business ventures. These ideas have spread rapidly across social media, often without any official confirmation. The reality is much simpler. Clark herself has consistently emphasized that her primary focus remains improving as a professional basketball player. Throughout interviews, She has spoken about learning from veterans, adjusting to the speed of the professional game, and helping her team become more competitive.
I think Caitlin Clark should join Unrivaled. I'm not so sure. I think that the money needs to be high. It needs to be in the millions. It needs to be at least what Cube offered her for the big three at minimum. And even with that, Caitlin Clark doesn't need any money. She has plenty of endorsement deals. I think she is totally fine. And I think for her body and for her mental health, it might not be the best thing for.
While fans continue imagining dramatic scenarios, Clark's public comments have generally reflected patience rather than urgency. Still, speculation continues because Clark represents something the league hasn't experienced on this scale before. Her popularity reaches audiences far beyond traditional basketball circles. Companies want partnerships. Television networks want more broadcasts. Sponsors want advertisements. Media organizations want interviews. Every major sporting conversation seems to include her name. That kind of visibility naturally creates enormous expectations. For League Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, this represents both an incredible opportunity and an equally significant responsibility. Under her leadership, the WNBA has experienced remarkable growth in visibility, sponsorships, and fan engagement. The arrival of young stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and others has accelerated that momentum even further. Yet with rapid growth comes increased pressure. Every scheduling decision is questioned. Every officiating controversy becomes national news. Every marketing campaign is examined. Fans often expect the commissioner to respond immediately whenever controversy appears, even when many situations require careful review rather than instant reactions. This environment has made the commissioner's role considerably more challenging than ever before. Meanwhile, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White faces a completely different kind of pressure. Coaching professional basketball has never been easy. Coaching the league's most discussed player makes it even harder. Every substitution becomes controversial. Every offensive strategy is debated online. Every timeout sparks criticism from one side or another. If Clark scores 30 points, people praise the system. If she struggles for a night, critics immediately question coaching decisions. Few coaches in professional sports experience this level of constant public evaluation. Despite the noise, White has repeatedly emphasized the importance of long-term development. She has encouraged patience. She has discussed teamwork rather than individual statistics. She has consistently reminded reporters that building a championship-caliber team requires time. Those comments may not generate sensational headlines, but they reflect the reality of professional basketball. Championship teams are rarely built overnight. The internet, however, rarely rewards patience. Instead, social media often rewards dramatic claims. One rumor leads to another. A short video clip becomes a misleading headline. A partial interview gets taken out of context. Before long, millions of people are discussing a story that may have started with little more than speculation. That's exactly what appears to have happened in this latest situation. Across various platforms, creators began suggesting that Clark was preparing a shocking next move. Some implied major disagreements behind the scenes. Others hinted at emotional reactions from league officials. Still others suggested dramatic changes within the Indiana Fever organization. Yet when fans searched for official statements supporting those claims, very little concrete evidence emerged. Instead, most discussions relied on interpretation rather than confirmation. That distinction matters. There's nothing wrong with discussing possibilities. Sports fans have always debated future decisions. But there's an important difference between asking questions and presenting speculation as established fact. Clark herself has rarely contributed to the drama. In fact, one characteristic that has defined her career is composure. Whether facing criticism after a loss or praise following a spectacular performance, she generally returns to the same message. Focus on basketball. Improve every day. Help the team win. Those priorities have remained remarkably consistent since her college career. Of course, consistency doesn't stop speculation. If anything, Clark's reserved personality encourages people to read between the lines. A brief smile becomes a hidden message. A short answer becomes evidence of frustration. A quiet expression becomes proof of conflict. Fans often interpret ordinary moments as extraordinary developments. Professional athletes deal with this constantly. Clark simply experiences it on a larger scale than most. Another factor driving the conversation is the unprecedented financial impact associated with her popularity. Attendance records have increased in many cities. Merchandise demand has expanded dramatically. National broadcasts attract larger audiences whenever Clark plays. Sponsors recognize those numbers. Business executives recognize them as well. Whenever one athlete influences revenue this significantly, every decision surrounding that athlete naturally attracts additional attention. That doesn't necessarily mean special treatment. It simply means greater public interest. And greater public interest creates louder public debates. For the WNBA, this moment represents both excitement and responsibility. The league wants sustainable growth. It wants new fans to remain engaged long after the current headlines disappear. That requires developing not just one superstar, but an entire generation of talented players. Fortunately, today's WNBA features remarkable athletes across every position. Veteran leaders continue performing at elite levels. Young stars continue emerging each season. International talent continues strengthening the competition. Clark is undoubtedly one of the league's biggest attractions, but the broader story is the continued growth of women's professional basketball as a whole. That broader perspective is sometimes lost amid daily controversies. Instead of appreciating the overall progress, online conversations often become centered on rumors, personal conflicts, and exaggerated narratives. Those stories may attract clicks, but they don't always reflect reality. As attention surrounding Clark continues to grow, one question remains unanswered. Is this latest controversy simply another example of social media amplifying speculation, or are there genuine developments taking place behind the scenes that fans haven't yet discovered? The answer isn't as straightforward as many headlines suggest. And as more details continue to emerge, the conversation is becoming even more complicated than anyone originally expected. As the conversation continued to spread online, something unusual began to happen. The original discussion was no longer just about Caitlin Clark. Instead, it evolved into a much larger debate about the direction of the WNBA itself. Fans weren't simply asking what Clark's next move would be. They were asking what the league's next move should be. That distinction changed everything. For years, the WNBA has worked to increase television ratings, attract larger crowds, and expand its national audience. Those efforts have produced noticeable results, but Clark's arrival accelerated that momentum almost overnight. Games featuring the Indiana Fever suddenly became must-watch events. Tickets sold faster, merchandise flew off the shelves, and television networks adjusted schedules to feature more Fever games. While this success created tremendous opportunities, it also introduced challenges the league had never experienced on such a large scale. Every major decision suddenly carried enormous weight. Should more nationally televised games feature Indiana? Should scheduling be adjusted to meet viewer demand? How should the league promote one superstar without overshadowing dozens of other elite players? None of these questions had simple answers. League Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has repeatedly emphasized that the WNBA's long-term goal is to grow the entire league, not just one player or one team. That philosophy makes sense from a business perspective. Sustainable growth depends on building interest across all 12 teams, creating new stars, and ensuring that fans stay engaged regardless of which teams are playing. Still, many fans viewed Clark's popularity as a unique opportunity. Some argued that the league should fully embrace the surge in attention. Others believed doing so would be unfair to veteran stars who had spent years helping build the WNBA before Clark ever arrived. The debate became increasingly passionate. Then another layer of speculation entered the picture. Rumors started circulating that Clark herself might be considering changes in how she approached her future, not necessarily leaving the WNBA, but potentially expanding her career in ways that reflected her growing influence. Some suggested more endorsement opportunities. Others predicted larger media projects. A few even speculated about future leadership roles within basketball after her playing career. The important point, however, is that none of these possibilities were officially announced by Clark. Instead, they reflected the growing recognition that she had become more than simply a basketball player. She had become a global sports brand. That transformation happens to only a handful of athletes in every generation. Players like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, and Stephen Curry eventually reached a point where their influence extended far beyond competition. Clark's supporters believe she may be following a similar path. Whether that ultimately happens remains to be seen. What cannot be denied is the extraordinary level of public interest surrounding her career. That attention also affects those closest to her. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White has spoken frequently about maintaining focus amid constant outside noise. In professional sports, distractions are inevitable. Media speculation, social media debates, trade rumors, injury concerns, contract discussions. Successful teams learn to block out those conversations. White has repeatedly stressed that the Fever's priority remains improving as a basketball team rather than responding to every headline. That message may sound simple, but maintaining that discipline becomes increasingly difficult when national attention follows nearly every practice and every game. Young players especially must adapt quickly. One outstanding performance can generate praise from millions. One difficult shooting night can produce criticism just as quickly. Clark has experienced both extremes. Some games have been celebrated as historic. Others have been analyzed as though they represented career-defining moments. Neither extreme tells the complete story. Professional athletes develop over years, not weeks. Clark continues learning defensive adjustments. She continues adapting to faster professional defenses. She continues building chemistry with teammates. Those are normal parts of every rookie's development. The difference is that few rookies go through that process under such an intense spotlight. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever organization has continued emphasizing stability. Rather than reacting emotionally to every public discussion, coaches and executives have consistently focused on internal development. Practices continue. Film sessions continue. Training continues. Those daily routines often matter far more than the conversations happening online. Yet the internet rarely highlights ordinary progress. Instead, dramatic headlines dominate attention. That's why phrases like "shocking next move" spread so quickly. They create curiosity. They encourage debate. They invite viewers to imagine major developments. Sometimes those headlines eventually prove accurate. Other times they are based almost entirely on speculation. Responsible analysis requires recognizing the difference. One interesting aspect of this entire situation is how different groups of fans interpret the same events. Supporters often see Clark as a player carrying enormous expectations while remaining remarkably composed. Critics sometimes argue that media attention surrounding her exceeds what any single athlete should receive. Neutral observers point to the broader impact she has had on attendance, ratings, and public awareness. Each perspective contains elements of truth. The challenge lies in separating opinion from evidence. Another reason emotions have run so high is that Clark represents more than basketball for many fans. She symbolizes growth, opportunity, the next generation. For longtime WNBA supporters, this period feels historic. For newer fans, Clark often serves as their introduction to women's professional basketball. That combination creates unusually passionate conversations. Every decision feels significant because many people believe the league is entering a defining era. Commissioner Engelbert has often spoken about building for the future rather than chasing short-term headlines. That approach requires balancing many competing priorities: growing television audiences, supporting veteran players, developing young stars, expanding sponsorship opportunities, strengthening competitive balance. Each goal matters. Focusing too heavily on one can unintentionally affect the others. That balancing act helps explain why league leadership rarely reacts impulsively to public pressure. Instead, decisions usually involve months of planning and consultation. For fans hoping for dramatic overnight announcements, that deliberate pace can sometimes appear frustrating. But professional sports organizations generally succeed through long-term strategy rather than emotional reactions. As discussions about Clark's future continue, another question has quietly emerged. What does Clark actually want? Publicly, her answers have remained remarkably consistent. She wants to compete. She wants to improve. She wants to help her teammates win. Those statements may not generate sensational headlines, but they align with the mindset displayed throughout her basketball career. That doesn't mean opportunities won't expand. Given her popularity, additional endorsements, business ventures, and media appearances are almost inevitable over time. Many elite athletes successfully balance competitive careers with growing business interests. The key is maintaining priorities. So far, Clark has consistently presented basketball as her primary focus. Whether that changes in future seasons remains unknown. For now, much of the dramatic conversation appears driven more by public speculation than by confirmed developments. Still, speculation alone can influence perception. And perception often shapes headlines. As excitement surrounding Clark continues to build, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The next chapter of her career will be watched more closely than almost any athlete in the league. Every decision, every interview, every performance, every public appearance. Millions of fans will be paying attention. But hidden beneath all the rumors and endless online debates is one question that may ultimately matter more than any other. Is the biggest change coming from Caitlin Clark herself, or is the WNBA quietly preparing for a new era that could transform the league long after the current headlines fade away? As the dust begins to settle, one important reality becomes impossible to ignore. Regardless of what rumors appear online, Caitlin Clark has already accomplished something that few athletes ever achieve. She has changed the conversation, not just within the WNBA, but across the entire sports landscape. Long before she stepped onto a professional court, expectations surrounding her career were already enormous. Her record-breaking college performances had captured national attention, and millions of fans wanted to see whether her success would continue against the best players in the world. The answer wasn't going to come overnight. Professional basketball has always been different. The speed is greater. The defenses are stronger. The physicality is tougher. Every possession matters. Every mistake is punished. Every opponent studies film and prepares specifically for your strengths. Clark understood that challenge from the very beginning. Rather than promising immediate championships or individual awards, she consistently talked about learning. Learning from veteran teammates. Learning from experienced coaches. Learning how to handle defensive pressure unlike anything she had faced before. Those comments reflected maturity. But as her popularity continued to grow, many fans became impatient. Some expected instant dominance. Others expected every game to produce another viral highlight. Whenever that didn't happen, questions immediately followed. Was something wrong? Was the coaching holding her back? Was the league treating her differently? Those conversations became part of the daily news cycle. Yet inside the Indiana Fever organization, the focus remained surprisingly simple. Improve, compete, grow together. That's exactly how successful franchises are built. The best teams rarely panic after difficult stretches. Instead, they evaluate performance honestly, make adjustments, and continue moving forward. Stephanie White has repeatedly emphasized accountability throughout her coaching philosophy. She has praised effort while also pointing out areas needing improvement. She has defended her players publicly while challenging them privately. That balance is one of the reasons many players respect her leadership. Rumors suggesting emotional breakdowns or dramatic confrontations often spread quickly online because they attract attention. However, unless those stories are supported by reliable evidence or official statements, they should be treated with caution. The same applies to claims involving Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Leading a growing professional sports league requires making difficult decisions every single week. Some fans will agree. Others will disagree. That comes with the position. Engelbert's larger objective has remained consistent: continue expanding the WNBA while creating opportunities for every franchise to succeed. The numbers suggest meaningful progress. Attendance has increased. Corporate partnerships have expanded. National television exposure has grown. More young girls are watching women's basketball than ever before. Youth participation continues to rise. Sponsors who once overlooked the league are now investing significant resources into its future. These developments didn't happen because of one person alone. Veteran stars spent decades building credibility. Coaches developed winning programs. Owners invested financially. League officials negotiated television deals. Young stars like Caitlin Clark arrived at a moment when years of preparation were finally paying off. That's why many longtime observers describe today's WNBA as the result of both history and momentum coming together. Clark became a catalyst. Not the entire story. A catalyst. That distinction matters. At the same time, Clark's influence cannot be ignored. When arenas sell out weeks in advance, businesses notice. When television ratings increase, networks notice. When merchandise sells faster than expected, sponsors notice. These trends encourage additional investment. More investment often leads to better facilities, higher salaries, improved marketing, expanded youth programs, greater international exposure. In that sense, Clark's popularity has the potential to benefit the league far beyond her own career. But opportunities also create expectations. Fans now expect constant growth, constant headlines, constant excitement. Professional sports, however, rarely follow perfect storylines. There will be injuries, losing streaks, unexpected setbacks, close playoff races, emerging stars from other teams. That's part of competition. The athletes who succeed for the longest periods are usually those who remain focused regardless of outside noise. Clark appears determined to follow that path. Her interviews continue emphasizing teamwork, preparation, consistency, enjoying the game. Those themes have remained remarkably stable despite enormous public attention. That stability may ultimately become one of her greatest strengths. As speculation surrounding her next move continues, perhaps the most surprising answer is also the simplest. Maybe her next move isn't leaving. Maybe it isn't launching a dramatic new project. Maybe it isn't responding to every rumor spreading across social media. Maybe her next move is exactly what she's been saying all along. Return to the gym. Watch film. Practice harder. Help the Indiana Fever improve. Win basketball games. Sometimes the most powerful decision is refusing to be distracted. History shows that many legendary athletes ignored constant outside speculation. Instead of chasing headlines, they chased excellence. Over time, the headlines followed naturally. Clark may be taking that same approach. Meanwhile, the WNBA itself stands at an exciting crossroads. The league has more visibility than ever before. New television audiences continue discovering women's basketball. Corporate investment continues growing. International interest continues expanding. Future draft classes promise even more talented players. Competition has never been deeper. Every season introduces new rivalries, new storylines, new stars. That is exactly what thriving sports leagues need. For Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and coaches like Stephanie White, the responsibility now extends beyond managing one successful season. They're helping shape the future of professional women's basketball. That future depends on creating an environment where every talented player has an opportunity to succeed while ensuring fans remain engaged for years to come. It's a challenging mission, but it's also an exciting one. As for Caitlin Clark, only time will reveal what comes next. Will she become one of the greatest players in WNBA history? Will she help lead Indiana back to championship contention? Will her influence continue expanding beyond basketball into business, media, and philanthropy? No one knows for certain. What we do know is this: every chapter of her journey continues attracting extraordinary attention. Every milestone inspires discussion. Every challenge becomes a lesson. And every success reminds people why so many believed in her potential from the beginning. Perhaps that's the real story behind all the rumors. Not hidden meetings. Not dramatic confrontations. Not emotional headlines. The real story is that one young athlete has become one of the most influential figures in modern basketball, and the entire sports world is watching to see what she accomplishes next. Whether you're a longtime WNBA supporter or someone who only recently started following the league, this moment feels different. Women's basketball is reaching new audiences. New records continue falling. New opportunities continue appearing. And the next generation of players is already preparing to build upon everything happening today. So, is Caitlin Clark's shocking next move really some secret decision waiting to be revealed? Or is the biggest surprise that she's quietly doing what great athletes have always done, blocking out the noise, trusting the process, and letting her performance speak louder than any rumor ever could? One thing is certain. The next time Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, millions of eyes will once again be watching. Not because of the latest rumor, but because every game now feels like another chapter in one of the most closely followed careers in modern basketball. And that story is still only just beginning. What do you think about everything we've discussed today? Is Caitlin Clark simply staying focused on basketball while the internet creates bigger stories around her? Or do you believe there are major changes coming that could reshape not only her career, but the future of the WNBA as well? The conversation is far from over, and that's what makes this moment so fascinating. Every game, every interview, and every decision will continue to be analyzed by fans across the world. As new information becomes available, we'll be here separating confirmed facts from speculation and breaking down what it really means for the league and its biggest stars. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin Clark's biggest impact is still ahead of her, or has she already changed the WNBA forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read your comments every day, and your opinions often inspire topics for our upcoming videos. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever, League News, and the biggest stories shaping women's basketball. And if you know someone who's passionate about the WNBA, share this video with them and keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching and spending your time with us today. We truly appreciate your support, and we'll be back soon with another in-depth look at the biggest stories in basketball. Until next time, take care, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.